Namaste. We'll start our practice standing. And you can turn sideways on your mat because we'll take our feet out wide here in a second and therefore you can keep your feet on the mat. But just start in a nice gentle mountain pose with your arms relaxed by your sides. Lengthen the sides of your waistline by maybe drawing your shoulders up and rolling them back and down without sinking in your rib cage down towards your hips, but still maintaining that nice long spine, nice posture. Shoulder blades pressing together just a little bit so that you're spreading through the collarbones, opening through the chest. Relax your toes. Sometimes I'll pick them up and just give them a little wiggle. Sometimes we grip them without even knowing. And then find a nice deep breath, eyes closed, through the nose, just allowing your feet to root into your mat. Allow your body to settle into the posture. And most importantly, allowing your mind to arrive. Often off in the past, recreating experiences and memories and conversations, or it's in the future worrying about what's next. Let's try to be here on our mats, breathing and feeling. So take about 3 more full breaths. Maybe each successive breath just gets a little bit deeper into the lungs. And on one more breath, let's all circle our arms out and around. Take your time, full reach up over your head. You might even look up, not even necessarily with your eyes, but with your heart. Feel your palms pressed together over your head and then slide your hands down the center, thumbs to heart center. And then we'll begin stepping into a horse pose. So that's a wide squat. Your toes turn out comfortably where your knees and your hips are pointing. The hands go a little bit on the inside of the knees, and then the heel of your hand just rests on the meat of that quadricep on the inner knee there. And then you're pushing your knees out, so you have to lean forward. Otherwise, you'll be sitting upright and squeezing your glutes. We want to relax the glutes, actually. Turning your right shoulder down, lean a little more forward if you want to, and really push out that right knee. Sometimes the right knee will want to fold in. It's not really about a big twist. It's about keeping the legs open wide and then rotating your spine a little bit, taking your right rib cage, folding it down towards the left inner thigh and letting your shoulder go in. Look over that left shoulder if you want to, and just take a deep breath into the whole side of your waist. Breathe here. Just waking up our bodies, going through the paces, and just seeing how we're feeling today. Switch sides. So we're going to appreciate and honor the process. The process means we're not looking for a goal. We're not looking for an endpoint. There's nothing to achieve other than being here and experiencing our bodies, taking inventory. And then if you're into it, you just go a little challenge yourself a little more or not, but just feel what you feel, breathe into it, and allow the postures to decide for you what your body really needs this morning. And then let's come on back to the center and see if you can get a little lower into the legs, maybe even a little gentle pulsing of the hips to see where you're at there. Take one more breath. And then we'll press into the feet. Use your leg strength and abdominal core awareness to straighten out your legs. Turn your feet so they're pointing forward. We're in a wide-legged stance. Open up those arms and take a big side bend to the right. Leaning, letting your right arm reach down towards your heel. But don't worry about collapsing that right waist. Lift the left one. Draw some giant circles with your left shoulder. Cross your face. Couple in each direction. And then notice where your head is. Make sure it's not dropping to your right shoulder, but it's lengthening through the neck. Finish out where your arm is reaching straight up towards the sky, maybe a little bit over to your right. And then look up if you can. Look down. And a very gentle shaking of your head. No, if that does not feel good, don't do that. And then we're going to inhale both arms up. Interlace your hands behind your back. Notice which knuckle is closest to your body. Roll those shoulders back without arching your back. So drop your tailbone, pull in your belly, and nice slow forward fold. Bringing your head down towards the ground. If you've got room to let your hands come off your back. I'm looking forward so you can hear my voice, but I'd like you to drop your head and let it dangle off your shoulders like a piece of fruit. And just breathe there. Notice if you're leaning too far into your heels, take a little weight more into the balls of your
feet so that your quadriceps turn on and activate, and align your hips more over your heels versus sticking your butt back behind those heels. Take one more breath, maybe lift those arms a little bit further off your back. Then bring your hands to your lower back, hands on your waist, and look forward, and then stand up all the way.
And then we're just gonna go back to a horse squat before we hit that side bend. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. And get a little lower if you can on this one. And then we'll take some pulses now. So drop your right shoulder down and just kind of pulse down a couple of, I don't want to say bounces because it's a mindful movement. You're not just randomly bouncing. And switch. Just do 3 little touches down. And then we're going to alternate right and left. Just go to the right shoulder down, the left, not fast. Get your full range of motion. Find your breath so that maybe you inhale when you hit one side, you exhale as you hit the other. Notice if you're gripping your toes, and do one more each side, and then we'll land in the middle, getting ourselves real low there again. See if you can lift your toes, spread your legs a little wider as you drop your hips. Take one more breath. You shouldn't feel tension here, but just a nice, healthy challenge for your legs. And then we'll straighten up those legs. Take your time. Flipping your toes back to a parallel position where they're pointing forward. The legs are straight and strong, but not locked. Open up those arms nice and wide. We'll take that big side stretch to the left. Right arm is reaching up. Let your left hand stretch down towards your left ankle. And then some big circles, doesn't matter which direction. In each, 2 of them, clockwise, counterclockwise. Just feel the range of motion for your shoulder. And then we'll finish with that arm right up towards the sky. Maybe it's leaning a little bit towards your left. Look gently down and up like you're shaking a no, but only if that makes sense. Don't force your neck to move if it's really tight. It's telling you something when it hurts, so listen to that. And then we'll use a good strong core to lift ourselves all the way up. Arms go wide. This time you can dive down over your legs, catch a hold of either your calves or your ankles or your thighs, and give yourself a gentle pull, but just like last time, shift weight into the balls of the feet so you're not sinking back into the heels, moving your hips back. On a fingertips or a block right underneath your face, but come up onto a claw so you can get your spine flat and hopefully horizontal. Raise that right arm to the sky. Sorry, that left arm to the sky. Right arm under your face, left arm to the sky. And we'll thread. So your left arm is going to go under your right. Catch a hold of your calf on the outside. Then keep holding it as your right arm comes to the sky. And go over that left arm. So now we're holding both of our legs with a crisscross. And then drop your head down. Just let your head hang in there. Actively pulling your legs towards you. You're using your arms. But then through the outer edges of your feet, you're pushing your legs out. So you feel that tension at your shoulder blades in the back there. Just breathe. And then put your hands on your hips. Lift your spine only halfway, and we're just going to change direction. So your left hand on a claw under your face or a block, so your spine is horizontal, including your neck. Raise that right arm to the sky. You might look up, but you don't have to. And then thread under the left to grab your left leg. Reach the right arm up as you're still holding that left leg. Left arm up. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. And then crisscrossing your arms so that your left is on top and you're dropping in here. And then just letting your head, chin tuck in towards your biceps. Actively pull your arms towards each other, but push your feet away so you feel that tension happening. One more breath. And then this time we'll release the hands under the shoulders. Push yourself up halfway, use your fingertips, and walk your feet like 4 or 5 inches wider, so it's pretty wide stance, and turn your feet outward. And then we're going to lunge over to the right side. So keep your right leg flat on the ground. Start bending your knee. Then walk your hands directly sideways so you can lift your left toes up. And you can just shift your hips so that you feel you can get as low as you can with your heel on the ground and your butt goes low. I'm perfectly straight with my head, shoulders, and hips. So we're not turning to the right knee. You should be able to pick up your hands if you can. And if not, just get in there nice and low. Just a stretch for the inner thigh. And then we're just going to put the left foot down directly sideways walking. So it's lateral, not turning or twisting. Drop your hips as low as you can, bracing that left elbow up against the knee, and then maybe find the strength and stability to take your hands up into a prayer position. If you're struggling with that, just keep your hands on the ground and just work into the hips. And then we're going to straighten out the legs and
Fold in again. Grab your feet. Make sure you flip your toes back to parallel and let your head drop in. Taking one more breath. And then again, hands underneath your shoulders will lift our spine, lengthening halfway up, and then pivot to your right so you come into a runner's lunge. So you're going to swivel on the ball of your left foot, your right knee's pointing forward, and then you want to lengthen your spine. So if you're struggling to touch the ground, get your hands up on blocks. But you want a nice straight spine. So if you feel your spine is really, really rounded, elevate your body by bringing blocks under your hands. We'll lower the back knee down, plant into your left palm, raise your right arm up, have a twist. You can look up if you want to. And then we'll lower that right hand, shift back to a half split. So just rolling over your front heel, pushing your hips back and trying to find a flat spine. Toes can curl up. You're not locking your knee, but it's as straight as you can manage. Focus more on getting the hamstrings to feel a really deep stretch than about your lower back and getting your face onto your leg. And then you can re-lunge into that right leg, pick up your back knee again and get a deep runner's lunge. We'll move the right hand inside your right foot and then just walk all the way around to the back of your mat, to the left side here, pivoting. Find that nice deep lunge. Make sure you bring your blocks if you think you need them. And then we'll lower the back knee down, planting into that right palm, raise that left arm up, have a twist. Make sure we're breathing. Lower that hand down, shift back to a half split. Just straightening out that knee, lengthening the spine. It might feel a little different in the hamstrings, different from left to right, day to day, including the lower back, how it experiences this. And then from here, you can just slide your left leg back so you're on your knees. Plant your palms so we're in a table pose, and let's begin a couple of cows and cats. So on an inhale, you drop your belly, lift your chin, your chest, pinch your shoulder blades back, arch that low back. And on the exhale, it's cat. You round, scoop out your belly, drop your chin, press into your shins. Really get your shins to get a stretch in the front ankles. Do a few of those. Inhale is when you lift up cow with your chin. Exhale is when you drop your head, raise your shoulder blades. Do 2 more cycles of that nice fluid breath, reorganizing that breath so that it syncs up with the movements of your body, creates that pace and that equanimity, that calm sense of peace and acceptance as you're moving, despite how maybe some of these things feel. When you've had your go at that, let's head into our first downward facing dog, lifting your hips. Doing what you do by maybe pedaling your feet, swiveling those hips. Do whatever you need to do to get comfortable in the pose. And then a couple of refinements that I can offer is you want to put a little bend in your knee, if not a more sizable bend if you have a tight low back. And if you're not sure, head into a down dog and either snap a picture, a selfie, or have someone take a picture. But if you find your back is very rounded, you need to soften those knees and get more of a straight line, literally from your wrist to your heels. Widen your fingers, so spread and open up your hands, and the more you get used to that, you'll just do that in automatic, and that's a good base. Try to let your head dangle freely, and pull your shoulder blades down away from your ears instead of hiking up into them and leaning on your wrists. You can take breaks whenever you need to, so if you need to come to your knees and have a child's pose, or stay in down dog, just come to your knees so that it's a little supported. It's called puppy pose that way. And we'll just take one more breath. We're going to walk our hands back. Do that precisely so you're not dragging your hands. You're moving mindfully. One hand print at a time until your heels drop to the mat and you're in a forward fold, just letting yourself dangle freely. You can let your head hang here. You can grab your elbows and sway, whatever feels nice, a little deeper of a forward fold. And then Ardha Uttanasana, you can place your hands on your shins, use that block, but try to get a flat back, gazing a little bit forward, shoulders pinch in. Exhale, fold, drop your hands, touch the earth. You can use a block to get there. And then we'll swing those arms out to the side. Smooth breath as you inhale, circling up to the top, palms touch, and then hands to your heart center. So you can turn around so you're back to facing the front of your mat. And we'll start a little, very basic flow sequence. So on your inhale, circling those arms to the sky. On your exhale, swan dive over your legs. Take a half lift up on your inhale. Step your left leg back into a nice deep lunge.
Lower your back knee. We're gonna raise both arms up to the sky. Reaching up, 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 up. Maybe dropping those hips. Maybe looking up. Place your hands down. Pick up your back knee. We're stepping back to downward dog. Just pressing into your palms, getting a good solid foundation through the palms, through the balls of the feet. Shift forward into high plank pose. Notice if you had to change your hands and your feet, and just adjust them accordingly. Keep your chin a little bit forward so the neck stays long. Don't let your head drop as you lower all the way flat to your belly. Releasing your toes, point them. I move my hands back a little bit as I go to cobra. And then lower my head down so I can release my lower back, tucking the toes in any way that makes sense for you, heading to downward dog. Take a deep breath. We're going to raise our right leg to the sky on an inhale. Bend that knee, open up that hip. Re-extend that leg, square down that hip. Shift your knee to your nose, coming into three-legged plank pose, rounding your back. Re-extend that leg straight up again, maybe a little higher this time. And then knee to nose, but in order to step your foot to the top of your mat. We're going to lower the back knee down again, sweeping those arms up. See if you can go a little bit lower. And then hands down, all in one breath, step to the top of the mat. Halfway up, inhaling. Exhale, fold. And reach those arms to the sky. Linking a salutation, you might find a little back bend up top, and then a nice forward fold as you dive down. Ardha Uttanasana, half lift up, so we're moving slow with our breath. Hands down, stepping your left leg back in a nice deep lunge. Your right leg back, so now it's the other leg back. Your left knee is pointing forward. Get long, you might notice a difference in the hip, so accommodate with blocks and props, side to side, moment to moment. Back knee down, both arms to the sky, reach up, look up. Sinking those hips, maybe extending your arms a little higher. Just a basic flow. Hands down, raise that back knee. Step to downward facing dog. Try to pick up the leg instead of dragging it back. Practice that mindful transition. Shifting high plank pose. Lower down. Cobra, maybe you roll all the way to up dog. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. Left leg to the sky on an inhale. Bend the knee, open up that hip. Re-extend the leg, squaring down the hip. Knee to nose, round your back. Think cat pose, really scooping out that belly. And then inhale, reaching that leg up again, three-legged down dog. Stepping back to the top of your mat. Lowering that back knee. Taking a huge breath as you reach up and go for a bigger version of this pose than last time, low crescent lunge. And then try to find a smooth transition. Hands down, pick up the knee, just step right to the top of your mat. Halfway up on an inhale, fold over your legs, exhale. We'll circle those arms to the sky on an inhale. Dive right back down on an exhale. Halfway up on an inhale. Step your left leg back again. Make this a high crescent lunge. So we're circling those arms to the sky. A little bend in your back knee is useful to try to feel like your head, shoulders, and hips are on one vertical line. Then you can slowly start to straighten that back knee any degree, keeping that front knee solid. Nice deep bend. Reach those arms up tall, maybe even look up. We're going to put those hands down on the mat. Sweep that right leg all the way up and back. Then bring it all the way back through. Back to high lunge. Take a breath. Now from here, in one fell swoop, just step to the top of your mat. Don't put your hands down, hands to heart. I'm sure that went beautifully. Inhale those arms to the sky. We'll do that on the other side. Dive down over your legs, exhaling. Halfway up on an inhale. Stepping your right leg back now, coming to high crescent lunge with your left leg pointing forward. Bending that back knee on your way up. Bending the knees and any joints absorbs movement. So it's always a good idea while you're moving to keep your joints extra soft. And then when you're in your poses, they're still not ever locked out because that will make it rigid. We want to be able to absorb movement because we're breathing.
And then the hands are coming down. We'll be sweeping that left leg up behind you. And then on the exhale, bring it right back through and step to the top of the mat. On an inhale, rising up, looking up, reaching up as high as you can. And then look forward, not down, and just see if you can step to the top of the mat, hands to heart, all in one fell swoop. We're gonna build on that. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Swan dive forward fold on an exhale. Halfway up on an inhale, step your left leg back, come right into that high crescent lunge on an inhale. Put your hands down, sweep that right leg all the way up and back. Bring it all the way back through to the top of the mat, high lunge. And here's where we'll move into a warrior two. So turn your back heel down, open your arms, and a little adjustment of your front foot, usually moving it more to the center line. Try to get your back shoulder over your back hip and open up those arms. Deep bend in that front knee, looking over that front arm. Nice long neck, soften your toes. Find a couple of breaths here. And then we'll reverse warrior two, reaching up, up, up. We're gonna move right into our next pose, triangle pose, straightening the front knee, extending your waistline. So try to get your waistline parallel to the ground. So that if you can see me, my arm and my spine are in one straight line horizontally, then it's literally just a change of arms, and putting your hand on a block can keep that spine nice and straight if you need that. And maybe you look up. Taking one more breath here. Really use your legs to lift yourself all the way up into a reverse triangle. And then we're gonna windmill our hands on down to the mat. A vinyasa would go well here. So stepping back to a high plank pose. Lowering your body any way you want, chaturanga or up dog. Rolling through a back bend. Downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths before we do that all again. So this is a good place to take a little breather if you need one. Grab a drink, have a child's pose, check in, and then take one more breath here. And then we'll look towards the front of the mat, maybe get a little bouncy on your feet and walk or hop to the top. Halfway up on an inhale, fold into your legs, exhale. Circle those arms to the sky, link the salutation, forward fold, dive down on your exhale. Halfway up on your inhale, step your right leg back, high crescent lunge, reach those arms up, 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 look up. We'll put your hands down, sweep that left leg up and back. Bring it right back through, high crescent lunge. Take a big inhale, settle into that pose. Open out warrior two. So make those little adjustments in your feet so that you're in a line with your front heel, intersecting the back arch. Your arms are parallel to the ground. Nice long neck. Settle in. Feel your outer left foot and the big toe mound. So you're not rolling to either arch. One more breath here. We'll flip that left palm, reverse warrior two. Take a deep breath. And then making our way to triangle pose, extending that front leg. You can walk your back foot up a little bit if you need to. Again, look for that horizontal line for your arm and spine, and then changing the arms to 6 from there. Maybe look up. Keep bringing that bottom rib cage, that left rib cage, rotating it up without changing how the hips are. Beautiful, guys. We're almost done here. Circle that arm up to a reverse. And then we'll make our way into one last vinyasa if you're interested. Hands windmill down, step back plank, lower your body, roll yourself up, and then head back to downward facing dog. And this will be our last down dog in this practice today, so just take a good look around. Check through from your heels to your hips, the extension we've created. From your hips to your shoulders. From your shoulders to your fingertips. Just taking one more nice deep full breath there. And then we'll lightly come down to our knees, get a couple of back bends in. So we'll start with a bridge pose, lying down on your back.
Hands by your sides, feet close to your bottom. Lift your back shoulders up and tuck them under even now before we begin. And then just before we start, just feel your neutral spine. There's a little curve at your lower back. There's a curve at your neck. It's all natural and relaxed. Use your bones of your arms, including your hands and the feet, now to press down and roll your hips up, and then walk those shoulder blades down and a little closer together. Press into all 10 fingers. Press into the inner arch of the foot, the big toe mound and the baby toe mound. Don't clench your glutes. See if you can get a little more out of those shoulder blades, and try to relax your neck as you're pushing the back of your head into the mat. Maybe you can raise your right leg to the sky, burn up that left quad a little bit. Take a huge breath, keep that leg raising up, raising up. Keep your hips lifted as you lower that right leg into bridge. One more moment, and then we'll curl and roll the hips down. We're gonna take a little windshield wiper and get another one of those in. So if you know yourself and you have a bigger version of that, you can take a bigger version of that or another pose called upward facing bow, Urdhva Dhanurasana. Or if you need a lesser version, get your block and stick it under your bum and support your bridge. But we're taking one more breath here, and then we'll begin again. So pick your poison. When you're ready, you're pressing yourself up. If you're on your hands in Urdhva Dhanurasana, you want to keep pressing your chest towards your hands and then walking your feet closer to your hands. So you're trying to shorten the distance between your palms and your feet, and then keep your chest pressing to the back of your mat. Taking one more breath, and then wherever you're at, be mindful transitioning down so that you don't fall out of that. Land, and before you get the urge to do anything else, just pause, allow your spine to get back to where it needs to be. And then if you feel ready, grab a happy baby pose. Holding either the outer edges of your feet or reaching yourself around and grabbing the backs of your thighs so that you can open your thighs and drop those hips down, drop those knees down, getting into those hips. Taking one breath there. And then we're going to drop the left foot down and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. This is called figure four. And then you can pick up your left leg in order to either catch behind the left thigh or the shin. So you're threading your right leg between your legs. Please flex your right toes so that that ankle and knee joint are in a nice, good, solid, levered position. And we'll move the hips just ever so slightly, the legs just ever so slightly to the left, so you're getting that right hip to tug a little bit. And I usually sometimes might even do a little rocking. Taking one more breath there. We'll let go of the left foot, but keep the knee bent and stretch your right leg to the sky. You can hold at the back of your thigh or at your calf, or if you have the range of motion to reach down towards your foot, so long as your shoulders don't come off the ground or your hips don't come off the ground. You can keep your back flat on the ground and work the hamstring stretch there with a perfectly flat back. And then if you have room, you can even stretch out your left leg. Flexing both feet here so that you can split the legs apart safely. Safely meaning when your legs are firm, we've got an anchor for our back on the mat, and then you can move your legs. If your legs are relaxed and you pull your leg too much, you could slip something in your lower back. It's a real concern, so be super mindful there. Taking one more fluid breath. And then we're going to fold down that right knee. Really squeeze it up into your shoulder, and then using your left hand, just direct it across your mat to a spinal twist. You don't have to go so far over that that arm behind you, that right arm is just hanging in space. Try to keep your right shoulder blade down so that your knee is a little bit off the ground. You can even put a block underneath your knee or your ankle of the leg that you've crossed over. So this should be a pose that feels really nice and spacious, not like you're fighting your body to get that stretch. And if you'd like an additional stretch for the neck, you just take your head and you look across your right shoulder. Taking one more breath there. And then we're going to pull that right knee back into the chest. Give it a good squeeze. In fact, even bring your head up so you can really tuck it in. And then keep your right knee bent and take that into a happy baby, just a one-legged happy baby. So if you feel like you need to rebend your left knee for that, great. If not, maybe your right leg stays straight. And you can even take your left leg stays straight. You can even take your left hand
and press it against your thigh to keep that anchor down, and then from there try to pull your right thigh closer to the ground next to your rib cage. Nice deep fluid breath. We're going to release by hugging both knees gently into your chest, gently. Don't squeeze so much that you're jamming your body in position, and simply stretching, setting up the second side. Put your right foot flat on the ground, knee bent. Cross your left ankle on top of that thigh. Ankle is flexed. Figure 4. And then picking up your right leg in order to catch a hold of either the shin or the hamstrings of the right. Moving those hips a little bit over towards your right so that left glute's getting a pull, but the back is perfectly flat. Notice if your chin is jutting up, lift the neck, draw the chin in towards the neck so that you're lengthening here. Taking a nice fluid breath. And then we'll let that right foot come to the mat, flat, knee bent. Stretch the left one up, flex the ankle, find a place where the leg can be straight but not locked, and not changing the configuration of your spine with kooky neck stuff and whatnot. If you'd like to slowly stretch out that left leg, right leg, flex it. Sorry, a lot of left and right confusion here today. Hopefully it's all making sense. And just pull that leg gently as you're pushing the right one. So you want to feel both legs reaching away from each other and breathing into that space. We'll be folding down the knee. Pull it tight up into that left shoulder before you head over to a twist, letting the left arm just relax behind you. Don't pull that leg so far over that you come off of your left shoulder. So the left shoulder stays anchored, and maybe your left knee rests on a block or just hanging there. Let your foot come down and breathe. Maybe you look over that left shoulder. And we'll pull ourselves back to our spine, flat. Pull that left knee in. Maybe lift your head and give it a good tight squeeze in towards your torso. A little constriction is not a bad idea from time to time. Lay back, grab happy baby, left leg only. You can bend your right one if you need to on this side too. And maybe you're also gonna take your right hand and press down on that hip bone to encourage that leg to stay anchored, and maybe give your left thigh just a little bit more of a pull. Take one last breath here. And then we're just going to pull our knees tightly into our chest, both of them. Give them a good squeeze. And before we finish here with Shavasana, take your arms up like a T. Raise your knees so they're over your hips and your shins are parallel to the ground. So it's a table pose basically for your legs. Your shins are parallel, your knees and your hips are vertical. And we're just going to swing those knees carefully to the right without touching the ground. So you might get a crack. It's a nice isometric contraction, meaning we're getting a strengthening and some flexibility work here. And then like some slow windshield wipers, head to the left. And then I like it. This feels good in the morning. It just awakens the spine. Just do 2 more. So 3 full nice slow windshield wipers. Keeping your knees pressed together helps keep those legs from swinging around and keeps that lower back nice and safe. Maybe working your way through your 3rd and final set of this. And then when you're done there, just placing your feet down on the mat, little windshield wiper out of those knees. If there's anything else you need to have happen right here, like a very gentle bridge, a very gentle plow, maybe just hugging your knees in one last time. Otherwise, extending your legs out towards the front of your mat, letting your arms rest comfortably wherever that feels natural to you, releasing the shoulder blades down, relaxing the back of your throat, every muscle in your face. Let your lips softly close, your eyes softly close. And then just lay here, not doing, trying not to think, trying not to plan, just trying to figure out a way to just be for a few moments. Stay as long as you can. Thank you for practicing. Namaste.